This week on the show, TiVo integrates with PayPal, TNT does Dallas, and Apple says goodbye to Ping. Right here on Behind the Video, Episode 7.
This episode of Behind the Video is brought to you by the Independent Media Network. The Independent Media Network helps journalists and content creators create their own jobs by building sustainable online businesses. If you're an unemployed or underemployed journalist or content creator, visit imnct.com for more information. Hey everybody, we are back for episode number 7 of Behind the Video. We have a great panel today, and let's start with my co-host, Tim Street. Hey Tim, how you doing?
Doing well. Today was a tough day to make it to the show. It's 8:30 in LA.
Yeah, that long commute from the bedroom to the back porch, right?
Yep, absolutely. It was tough.
Joining us also is Goldie Chan again. Great to see you back again, Goldie.
Hey, how's everyone doing?
And
Tim, we have a special guest today, so why don't you introduce her and tell us all about her?
Yeah, absolutely. We have I guess a Google Plus legend already, if there is such a thing as a Google Plus legend. Lynette Young has really taken a lead in Google Plus technology. Lynette, you want to tell us about the stuff you're working on?
It's funny because I'm an old-timer in this. I'm just an early adapter, so I want to go out there early and bang on the platforms with a wrench. So that's kind of where I got involved with Google Plus. But I'm an old-time technology person since like 1989. I almost predate the internet.
Well, what did you start doing in 1989? How did you get started?
I was enterprise technology, and then in '99 I left that world because the whole Y2K thing almost made me insane. And I saw how nuts corporate was, so I left because they really did think the world was going to implode. And I've been kind of working on the outside on digital ever since then. I was an early podcaster, which is kind of where I knew Tim from way back in the day. But lately I've been kind of on the Google Plus train. So that's what I've been doing lately. And I do work a lot with clients and individual peoples to help them figure out how to use all this shiny new technology to do what they do best.
Well, what do you find different about Google Plus from podcasting, from enterprise, even from Twitter? I mean, what are some of the things that you see? I mean, today we're kind of using Google Plus to do this with Google Hangouts, but what are some of the other things, and what are some of the mistakes that you see people make?
The mistake is to not use the tools that are available to you, I think. And it doesn't matter. It's not Google Plus. It's not Twitter. It's none of the tools on their own, in my opinion. I just gravitated towards Google Plus because I liked the tools that was offered to us. And what it is today is totally not what it was a year ago, because the Plus platform's almost to its year anniversary, right? So now here we are. You can fit 10 people on a Hangout, broadcast live. I mean, this stuff didn't exist a year ago. It didn't exist 10 years ago. So that's what I think is the biggest benefit, is the technology is like push button easy. When people first started doing web video, when they started doing web audio podcasting, it wasn't this easy. You had to be a geek to understand how to do this. And now, thankfully, the tech is easier, and that, to me, makes it better for great content to bubble up. So that's the part that I'm most excited about. It's the technology piece of Google Plus, but it's the part that you can actually use this as an entire publishing platform, socially and for the net. So that's the things that I really get jazzed up about.
You know, Goldie's kind of our resident social media expert that works with brands. I'm wondering, Goldie, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I was just going to say, so I totally agree with your points that a year ago it was definitely not as accessible to the public as it is now. So how do you feel that Google has changed their products to make it more easy to use for the average person, I guess?
Well, the disclaimer is I go out and I do a lot of public speaking, I guess, to people or at conferences or to companies about this. And the first thing I always have to say is I don't work at Google, nor do I want to. I have more freedom on the outside. But with that, I think that there's a lot of improvements to be made. They've got great standalone products. I think there are around 60 products that they offer, YouTube being one of them because they acquired them a couple years back. But when it comes down to it, I think, Google's run by a bunch of engineers, so there's lots of room for improvement for social. They do search really well. They do advertising really well. I'm excited to see all of it merge together. Because now the work that you do publicly inside of Google+, the things you talk about, the things you publish, have a greater impact on the search side of things. There's great integration between Google+ and Documents, Docs, and now they call it Drive. So they're kind of dipping their toe across all of their 60 products, and I think that that's going to be the biggest benefit, especially for companies that don't have the time or the expertise to, they've got full-time IT people usually, banging away on their like Exchange servers and file servers and stuff. They don't need a dedicated team anymore to deal with the outside anymore. So that's kind of what I think Google+ is going to be real good and a really strong point for them. But there's a long way to go, I think.
And you were
just a baby.
It's plenty of time to develop. We've certainly, as Tim said, have used this quite extensively now. What are you seeing? You went to Blog World, so you were there as a probably focused on a Google+ implementation of some of the things that they're talking about there. So what's been the buzz on Google+? Where is its shortfalls right now, and how do you see it developing, with professional content creators?
The funniest thing is that, I think right now it's so polarized. You either love it or you hate it. You either think it's the best thing since sliced bread, and I kind of fall into that bandwagon. Not always because of the platform. It's definitely the people and their interactions here. But then other people will claim that it's a ghost town. And I've always said, if you give me 15 minutes just to talk with someone one-on-one, I'll convert everybody. And it's not that I'm telling them to like be the total like Google+ fangirl, but to not dismiss a new technology or publishing platform just because you don't like it or understand it. I think that that's very closed-minded, especially coming from people that kind of live on the LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter bandwagon. You have to know that the web is going to evolve. You have to know that communications is going to evolve. And people that are closed-minded about it, that's fine because I'll, eat my dust kind of thing. It's a point of being involved in things, just not to be kept behind the loop. I mean, now the internet moves faster than the speed of light, in my opinion, and you really have to make sure that everything that goes on the internet that could have a possible impact on you, you're at least aware of. So I see a lot of very vocal, very adamant naysayers about it. But when I've gone back and researched what they've done or what they've attempted, they really haven't given it like, the good college try kind of thing. They just expect it to be like this field of dreams that they're going to show up and magically people are going to come and gravitate towards them. And you have to, I mean, Goldie will say this, you have to go back to 101 stuff. You have to learn how to talk to people.
I was actually just about to ask you, what are your top 5 tips for people who are just starting out on Google+? Because I work with clients, you talk, you speak publicly, so you can kind of see the problems that people run into, especially when they're ramping up. So what are maybe 5 really easy things that can kind of get people up to speed on Google+?
The first thing I say is don't think of it as a different social platform. Think of it as, I guess, social integration. It's not a social network, in my opinion. And so many people kind of look at this and try to draw lines between Facebook or Twitter, and it's really not. It's a different tool set and a different form of communication because its implications are different. You can do all the work in the world inside of Facebook, but it doesn't reach outside of that bubble most times. So you have to spin your wheels really hard, really fast in there. Google has different benefits, and I say sit down and take the time to explore them. The second thing I always tell people is to make an effort on your profile. When I go to people's profiles that claim to be or that are by society's standards, or at least our fishbowl, that they're these social media experts and they've got books out and all this other kind of stuff, and then I go to their profile and they're like, I don't even know why the hell I'm here. Well, I don't really trust your input anymore, so make an effort. Your profile in Google Plus is now slowly becoming your Google identity. They're slowly merging over all of their profiles. If you have a blogger account, your profile's now over here. So a lot of their products, if you click on About, you're going to go to your Google Plus profile. So it's becoming really the hub of everything. So I think that people and companies should pay a very, very large percentage of their attention to how they portray themselves there. Another tip is search. Go out and search and follow and interact. Do all the old school stuff like +1 and comments and share things, show an effort, be a team player kind of thing. And a lot of people don't want to have to start over again. They're like, put so much effort into all these other platforms that they're like, I have to start from the bottom again. They're kind of expecting to come in here and start at the same level of interaction or acceptance that they have after 3 or 4 years of hardcore Facebook, and it's just not the way that it is. You're in a new playground now. You're the new guy. You got to start over again. And I think that another quick tip I would give is to use all of the digital format or digital publishing tools available. Video is huge in Google+. I mean, you see we're in a Hangout now. Share video, share YouTube. Use photos or pictures to the best of your ability. It's a very visual medium. Like Pinterest is. I mean, I think that's part of the reason why that platform took off, like, its pants were on fire, because people like the visual mediums, and if you use that to your advantage, you'll rise above the rest very, very quickly. So those are some of the things that I think people and companies should be paying a lot of attention to.
Well, some great tips for everyone to get started with Google+, and if you're watching us right now live, you're in it, so you get it, hopefully, and we look forward to seeing maybe some shows that you all make. So we're going to switch gears a little bit here, and we like to do is go through some of the top 5s that we're seeing. We start, of course, with the traditional media, the box office, and we're going to go from number 5 to number 1, and we're going to try to do it without me getting distracted by the shiny objects on the list here. So number 5 is The Avengers still. Racked in another $11 million in ticket sales for a total of $500 million, $572 million.
And Goldie says go see that one, right, Goldie?
I say go see that one and go in costume.
That's right.
Thank you.
Dress up. Go get your costumes and head out there and see it, because they have not made enough money yet. They need more money. So go back if you've already seen it. Men in Black.
Actually, if I can totally put a side comment on here that's completely unwarranted, I heard that some of the people on Dark Knight Returns are starting to say some nasty things about Avengers.
Oh.
Naughty, naughty.
So the Batman people are going to be against the Avengers here. So that might be some good. We should get that. It reminds me of that skit that Conan O'Brien did with the talking dog at the Star Wars opening when the guy from Lord of the Rings showed up with the fish fillet sandwich. That was you couldn't have asked for better comedy with a bunch of Jedi running the magician out of the thing there. So number 4 is Men in Black 3. I am really eager to go see this. So,
go see it. If you like Men in Black, you'll love this.
I will love it. So I'm going to go see that. Maybe I'll. My wife's away this week, so I have to go find somebody to go.
Yes,
with,
get going.
All right, so I'm going to go do that. Snow White and the Huntsman.
That's a no.
No?
No go.
That's a no.
What?
Oh.
From Goldie. Goldie says no. No, Lynette, you have a different opinion?
I haven't seen it yet, and I've been dying to see it. Well, because, there's the 2 Snow Whites out, and this is definitely, to me, the better choice than the Disney-fied one. But really? I mean, I was kind of turned off a bit because I'm not a Twilight fan, and it was the actress from Twilight, so I was kind of rolling my eyes in my head. But it looked so, dark, like fairy tales are supposed to be.
It's really dark. I will say that, and I will say, I think I said this on the last podcast, my favorite part is the end credits, because they're kind of a mix of Dexter and Game of Thrones, but when my favorite part is the end credits, that's a little worrisome.
That's a long wait.
Sad, actually.
So that's the review. That might be a rental for you there, Lynette. Number 2. Now, I have to ask Tim this question because, see, last week...
I'm still sequestered. But
you haven't seen it yet?
Yeah, I caught some reviews that said it wasn't so good.
So I think the expectation game on Prometheus is just so high that for people that have been hungering for one of these, for a continuation or a prequel to the series made famous, of course, by Alien, that some folks were disappointed. Although many people say the first part of the movie, I haven't seen it yet either, but the first part of the movie they say is like the best film ever, and then perhaps when it gets towards the scarier stuff at the end, maybe people thought it was rushed a little bit. But
the wheels come off the spaceship as well.
Get those ion drives reattached immediately. So has anyone on the show seen it today? Or seen the movie?
No, that's going to have to be a rental. Yeah, it's funny how I tier things into rental, Netflix in the movies, or Netflix if it eventually comes out on streaming. Like, those are my 3 tiers if I should see the movie or not.
Well, I haven't rented a DVD in probably 2 years.
I've been doing the red box. I don't know if you've all tried the red box.
Ooh, red box.
But I like the red box, and mainly because it's like $1.50 for the Blu-ray. So you've got to schedule it. And see, I live out in the country here, so it takes me 15 minutes round trip to get anywhere. But you go get the movie, you watch it, and you bring it back, and it's $1 and change, and it's cheaper than anything out there, and you get the Blu-ray. So I've been really, really happy with it. And if you look around online for some codes, a lot of times you don't pay anything. Yeah. So it's an amazing technology. I'm really impressed with it.
So yeah, now there's 4 levels if I should see the movie.
Yeah, you can add Redbox to the list. So
wait, what would come first? It would be in the theaters, then Redbox, because they usually get stuff, and then the 2 levels of Netflix.
So
I feel like there's another tier that we're all missing, which is in the movie theaters because I want to see it, in the movie theaters because significant others/friends have guilted you into watching it.
Right. And I will add for the censors watching that we are not talking about BitTorrent. See that? We are legitimate consumers of content. Give it to us. We will pay for it. So,
exactly.
All right, so the top movie this week was Madagascar 3. Go ahead. Sorry, Tim.
I was going to say any guesses, but you already blew that one.
I blew that one. So Madagascar 3, kid movie. School's ending, perfect timing, right? Everybody's home for the summer. Parents are like, get them out, put them in the movie theater for 2 hours, let them watch the movie. So Madagascar, what's the take?
The other thing that I noticed, I mean, I haven't seen Madagascar, but sure, that totally makes sense. But the other thing that I noticed is there were a lot of video game products and toy-type related things that came out this Tuesday the 12th. It was like a big day for some games and things like that, which is interesting enough because there's another toy movie that's in the works. I mean, we had Battleship, which wasn't that great of a success, and there's been Clue and Slip and Slide. No, they haven't done Slip and Slide yet. But they're working on Tonka Truck, the movie. Now, I'm just trying to get my head around this. Is this a movie for kids, a movie for grown-ups? Is it going to be like Battleship where the Tonka Truck just is a monster truck that's driven around and kills people? I don't know.
I think
Transformers was the only toy to movie that I liked.
And that was the first one. The second one was about 4 hours long. So I wasn't so much into the second one. The first one I was really into. I thought they did a great job with that, with Transformers. It looks like this Tonka thing might be more of a Cars ripoff, where they're going to anthropomorphize the trucks as they drive around. So, it's funny.
I think they do it just for merch. I think that's the whole purpose.
Oh,
yeah, you got to sell more Hasbro toys, right?
Yeah, I think Madagascar and some of them are in the movies, or they perpetuate the titles so they could sell more stuff in Toys R Us kind of thing. I mean, as a parent, that's kind of how I see it.
I was over at my mother's place the other day, and my Tonka trucks are still under the porch, rotting away. They're actually biodegradable, the metal. So, it was funny. It's like one day I just said, okay, I'm done with Tonka trucks, and I just left them there, and it's kind of disappointing because
when you were leaving for college.
Yep, that was it.
Oh, now I'm thinking Toy Story. That's so sad.
Yeah, I was like, that's Toy Story right there.
Toy Story right there, Lon. They're waiting for you, Lon.
They're waiting for me to come back.
Lon will be back.
Yep.
See? I told you.
He's back.
Well, now I know what the movie's about, so now I don't need to watch it.
There you go.
Perhaps I just blew my NDA on that. I'm sorry.
We do have some broadcast shows to talk about too. It looks like some reruns made the top 5.
Yeah,
Lon?
60 Minutes was in reruns. They do. I love 60 Minutes. It's unfortunate Andy Rooney's has left us, but great show. And I think it was also they did a repeat of, actually that was last week. So last week was a repeat also. So. It's good content. It gets rewatched. The Big Bang Theory, also in repeats. NCIS in repeats. And let's see, what do you guys think is the top 1 and 2?
It wasn't NBA playoffs?
Not on broadcast.
Not on broadcast.
Not on broadcast. It was America's Got Talent. So
of course it was.
People love watching the talent and the train wreck, and that dominated the 1 and 2 spots. So good for NBC. They've got their reality show for the summer. Those are great deals for the networks, especially. Moving on to cable, True Blood made its return, and HBO came in at number 10, and that's pretty substantial because HBO is not free. It's not part of your package. You got to pay the extra whatever you pay for it, and they managed to break through on the top 10. That's a pretty good thing, huh?
And they had, I also was just keeping, I don't watch True Blood myself, but a lot of my friends do. And so one of my friends sent me a link that on the night that they premiered this, they had one of the largest kind of social media pushes by the fans ever, beating out a lot of other shows that you think would be even more popular, like Glee. So it's kind of shocking, actually.
My Facebook lit up. Was it Sunday night that it was on?
Yeah.
Everyone's like, oh, and they're all getting together. So it's like, hey, we're having our, True Blood get-together thing. So I wonder how much money HBO is losing on public broadcasts like that, where you all go to the person who's got HBO to go watch the show.
Well, I heard they had HBO's had some trouble this week with Game of Thrones. Apparently, George W. Bush's head, a model of his head was used in Game of Thrones and put on a stick as decapitated.
Oh my gosh!
And so that just hit I think last night. So it'll be interesting to see if this story blows up and HBO gets in any trouble for that.
Wow!
I think it might have been like somebody on the set just joking around, and it looks like it's going to cause some problems. But
and it's funny that nobody would see that in post-production and say, maybe we shouldn't.
Well, the producers of the show said it wasn't real easy to see, and the producers said it wasn't a political statement. So I don't know what that means.
Well, that will get everybody in an uproar for the next week.
Yes.
So note to self: do not.
No decapitated presidents on the show.
Do not literally lampoon an ex-president.
They need to call Locus and see how to digitally alter things in the movies post.
Yeah, he's got his own problems because Han shot first.
That's right, and don't you forget it. So also on the list here, the Sprint Cup Racing. TNT is actually doing pretty well here. Sprint Cup Racing, Rizzoli and Isles. That was another one that got a lot of noise on my social media this week. A lot of friends were watching that.
What's that one about? I don't even know that show.
It's two crime women. I guess they're solving. One is what is that person? Have no coherent grasp of English language right now. One of them is the cop, and then the other one is the forensics person. There we go.
Right, okay. They're best buds. They're best buddies, the two of them, right? And it's two women, and then the psychiatrist from The Sopranos is the mother of Rizzoli.
So it's Cagney and Lacey meets Quincy.
That's it. You got it.
That was the pitch, right?
That's it. and it's working for them. What's funny is USA had a lot of these shows, and now TNT is really pushing into that area too. So there's a lot of, it's funny, a lot of these scripted shows are moving off network and onto cable where there's maybe more of a niche audience, which has been interesting to watch that. Number 7, Sports Center. The 11:18 broadcast on Saturday night was at number 7 on the list. Our friends at Pawn Stars from the History Channel are there again, and the top 5 all NBA all the time, ESPN and TNT splitting that. But the big news on cable, also on TNT, was Dallas. And Tim, I know you were excited about Dallas.
Absolutely. I used to watch Dallas when I was a kid. I don't really remember it, but I watched it, and I remember the big summer of Who Shot JR. I was like, ooh.
Ooh, that was a big one. And Lynette, that lit up the BBS scene at that point, right?
Yeah, it did. It did.
Now, my cousin was on Dallas as an extra. So she got paid $45 to hang out at her condo association pool all day, and they actually got her in the Boca in one of the shots. So,
nice.
Yeah, so we could say.
I don't know, Lynette, I don't know if you've seen this too, but I saw that on Twitter. They've been having like little fake Twitter wars, and on Facebook too. So I don't know if they're doing this on Google Plus as well, but I think it's pretty hilarious that they're rehashing some of the old plot points before Dallas goes live and having little
and the hashtags trend. I mean, those haven't, because unfortunately we're still at the mercy like Twitter hashtags are, where we'll get like the Bieber things. But yeah, hashtags are used. We tend to trend, I would have to think, more like a Twitter does. So yeah, I'm seeing those as well for the Dallas, especially for people that never saw the show back then. Like, they're like, who shot JR? What are you talking about? It's like, well, all right, I guess you have to be like 35 and up.
Yeah, some of the people may not have been born when the whole thing happened.
Well, like 90210 came back, and like the originals, like nobody knew what it was, or 21 Jump Street, or they're okay. No one apparently in Hollywood has any original ideas. This I'm seeing.
Yes, there seems to be a lot of rehashing, and the fact that Battleship and Tonka trucks are being turned into movies now that gives you some idea of that. Our top Hulu streams are pretty much the same. We talk about the top Hulu streams, and more often than not, it's just kind of a reshuffling of the deck, and this week is no different. Like the Family Guy and American Dad and the Jon Stewart Show and Hell's Kitchen pops up this week.
Is Pretty Little Liars new to the list?
I think it might be. I don't remember seeing that one before.
They last week they had I think series premiere, which is why, and they were advertising pretty heavily, I think across a lot of platforms. So I think they were on the list last week. That would make sense to me.
But it's really interesting to see how different the top Hulu streams are from what is really doing well in the Nielsen side of things, and you know, and it's funny because Hulu doesn't. They don't really develop communities around the shows, and I think that's something really lacking from everybody, Netflix too. But there's such an opportunity here from a social networking standpoint to get people interacting around these shows through their channels, which they're not doing. But it's interesting to see how that's developing. Topping YouTube this week, we've got actually. I'm going to start, Tim, with number one because I actually found the Smosh.
Because you have to.
Because I have to. And because it just got my attention. The reason is that we talk about Smosh a lot because the guy just prints money because he puts videos up and 1.5 million people just watch them. But he did one this week called Rejected Mario Games, and it was actually pretty funny because I'm a Mario fan. So I grew up with Mario, and this is the Nintendo Mario, by the way. And he did a good job on that one. I got to give him credit for that. Have you guys seen it?
Mm-hmm.
Nope. Gotta watch that one. You saw it, Lynette? What did you think?
Yeah, I did go through. I thought it was funny. I haven't seen a lot of his stuff, but I thought that one was pretty good. So now I have to go back and watch the rest.
Be careful.
Yeah, I know.
It's good.
Make sure your kids are in bed.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, nothing that plays on my computer is really appropriate for my children, so.
Well, that's good. To keep them out of the room there. So another one on the top. This was the top three, which really I thought was great. Was Mr. Rogers Remixed. Heartwarming, and you know they auto-tuned them, and it was terrific. The Purple Panda even made an appearance, who by the way terrifies me to this day.
Was I the only one that thought that the video was actually slightly creepy? But in that slightly.
Mr. Rogers was always creepy.
Well, I'll tell you what. You know you're living in the future when Kanye West, who was it? Tupac comes back as in that holographic form and performs, and now we've got Mr. Rogers essentially rapping himself. So it was great. I thought it was I think a great way to remarket that content too, because I believe they're still airing the reruns of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood on PBS on a regular basis, and a lot of kids still watch it. So.
I was like Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood that Eddie Murphy did on Saturday Night Live.
That's pretty good too. And here's something interesting. I'd love to get Lynette's take on this. So Daria Musk, who's unquestionably the first Google Plus created star. No two ways about it. In fact, she lives about an hour east or west of me here in Connecticut, east of me, west. Not in the ocean, in the other way. She lives an hour west of me here in Danbury, Connecticut, and she is the first Google Plus rock star. She basically started playing concerts on Google Plus Hangouts, built up an audience. She's got probably 1 million or more following her now. So 1.5 million. So Verizon Wireless says, streaming star, we've got this 4G thing. Let's combine the two. So they're going to put her on a roof in Manhattan, and she's going to do one of her Hangout concerts live. So what's this say, Lynette?
I love it. She and I both kind of jumped in that I know of really early on in Google+.
So you knew her when?
I knew her when. I didn't know her prior. But yeah, she's amazing. She's talented. She's been playing since she was like 7 or 8 years old. She comes from a musical family. So this wasn't like hey, I have a video, I have the opportunity to be on a video and I'll just pick up a guitar and try to figure it out. I mean, she's got talent. There's no doubt about that. But she wasn't really a social media person or a web person prior to this. She was lugging her stuff out, I guess Manhattan is the closest like big city for her to come and play in, and lugging her stuff out in the rain and trying to find people to fill a room, and it's like instant audience on the internet, which is kind of things I think we've all found along the way, just based on what our interests are personally and professionally. But yeah, she's knocked it out of the park because she's got a really good musician business sense to her. I've talked to her a couple times in person. I've seen her. But yeah, she knows what she's doing, and she's talented, and she's able to use this platform and not kind of, sell herself out, I guess. It's what I view the new way of being a musician and an artist online. I think she's going to set a really good roadmap for other people, and she didn't even intend it to be that way. But yeah, I know she had gotten originally a sponsorship or whatever you call it with Taylor Guitars, which was, an instrument she played anyway. And now with Verizon. So I think that this is kind of a new way for musicians to look at making a living off of their art. It's not just selling records or selling merch or, kind of going out and doing concerts and, and all of that expense that comes with it. She's proved that you could do this and, I don't want to say not leave your house, but just kind of made a new business model around it. So it'd be interesting to see to me if other people come up behind her or if this is just for her kind of thing.
Well, Lynette, if I can ask, what did she do that was successful, you think?
Her thing is that she went out. I mean, she'll tell her story online. It's definitely out there to view, but she saw Hangouts as a way to play to people that, she didn't have to go out and do it. And sometimes as a startup musician, I guess, you must go to rooms and there's 6 people sitting in a room. So for her, having herself and 9 others in a Hangout was like a blessing. And she could just do it and get her music out. And her first Hangout was like 6 or 7 hours. I don't remember. She just played and played and played, and people rotated in and out. But I think that her big thing is now showing people to how to, just through example of the platform can be used for so many different ways of communication. So she's off. She plays concerts. She's doing TED, like not a TEDx, like the real big deal TED.
That's great.
As a musician, I guess they always have a big musical guest at the end, and she got invited, and she's going overseas in a little while, I think, to do that. So it just totally opened a bunch of doors for her. And to me, it shows that if you work at it, it works. And if you put your heart to it and dedicate some time and effort to it, that it works. Talent always helps, though.
It certainly is part of the way there, and she's talented and very good at engaging her audience, which
Yeah.
I think is the real secret sauce to her success there.
And having a PayPal account that you can get people to donate to is good too, right?
That is it. The tip jar is still alive and well after even in this new digital era. So
I think we have a PayPal story this week.
we sure do, and that involves TiVo. So the Geek.com is reporting for the first time you can actually buy ads on TiVo through PayPal, which is a pretty neat service that's becoming integrated into their platform. So what do you all think?
Now if you could only buy something right on TiVo, see that's I think it's really cool to advertise someplace where they can buy the thing that you're selling, so that you don't have to go someplace else to
Actually,
buy
you know what? I misread the story. It's actually, that is exactly what it's doing. So I thought you could buy ads on TiVo because I'm in the advertising business. I'm thinking, oh, this is great. I could put my ads. No, but this is actually allowing. So when you see a desirable product on there, you can buy it with your PayPal account.
That's
So
pretty good.
your money will depart you faster than you can think about it. So impulse buy, that is the way to go. So Goldie, are you going to buy anything on TiVo?
I don't know. I have to see what I want to be instantly gratified with,
How about Avengers tickets?
Well, I already saw Avengers, so now I'm ramping up to go see Dark Knight when it comes out, as well as Pixar's Brave. I'm really excited about that.
Ooh.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I've
that's
already bought dolls and stuff for friends, kids. I've already done it. I love the story. But you bring up a good point, though, actually, with the instant gratification, Goldie. Like, if they're selling digital products, like they run a thing for a digital book or music or a digital product that you can download right then and there, that I'd probably be a little bit more trigger happy to push purchase than something I had to buy right then and there and then wait 2 to 4 weeks for in the mail. So.
Well, I think it's anything. I think you're totally right. It's anything like if I want to buy a pair of shoes, then I have to go off and pick out my size and then do this and this and this. But yes, with a digital book, I'd be like, great, buy, done.
And it shows up on your tablet. And I know, Goldie, you have to head out to a conference call,
Yep.
but we do have time for one more story that I wanted to bring up because Tim and I we believe we're the only people on this social networking service, and that is Apple's Ping, which is one of those annoying things that occasionally pops up on iTunes that nobody ever clicks on. But Tim and I did.
It's gone.
It's gone.
They're getting rid of it.
So, and it's if you can't beat them, join them department. And I think Apple's realizing what they're good at, and that is not being a social networking company. And it looks like they're going to be integrating much tighter with Facebook and with Twitter, but not Google+, just due to their competitive arrangement with Google at the moment. So I just thought that was interesting. Were either one of you on Ping?
I was.
And did you ping with anybody?
You know, the funny thing is I would use the platform to push indie musicians that I was friends with or that I liked, because that's since podcasting in like 04, 05 and my exposure to, hey, you don't have to be on a major record label to have great music, I found myself using Ping to push that type of content or have those kind of conversations. I wasn't really talking about you know, mainstream bands there. I was always looking for independent type stuff. So I'm kind of sad. I am sad to see it go that way. But honestly, Apple stinks at social. They're better at just dictatorship and you know, that kind of, you know, like this is what we have to buy. If you don't like it, too bad. I think they're better off staying on that side of the fence.
I really like what Spotify has done. I've been using it quite a bit, and I see a lot of my friends adopting it just because, granted, the free music is a nice enticement to folks on Facebook to do that, but they've really, I think they've really nailed the social networking aspect. I'm sending songs to friends as mixes and playlists, and I haven't done that since I was in high school, so it was on cassette tape, mind you. So not to date myself, but they weren't 8 tracks at least, but it's kind of neat to see how that develops. So any other thoughts on social's end at Apple?
Finally. I know Tim's bummed out about it, but
yeah, that is it. Well, I know both our co-hosts, or I know that Goldie and Lynette have to get on to other things. So we thank you all for joining us on Behind the Video this week, and we are always recording this show live around 11:30 Pacific on Thursday mornings on Google+.
No, that's wrong. It's 11:30 Eastern, 8:30 Pacific.
If it were Pacific, Tim would still be sleeping.
Oh, that's right. So that's right. Just go on Google+ and look for our thing. It'll be on live somewhere in the world at that point in time. But we thank you all for joining us. It was great to have you, Lynette. Hope to have you back again soon. And thanks again. And we will be back next week, and this edition of Behind the Video is a wrap.
Stories for this episode were compiled by producer Jason Perrier. Follow him on Twitter at JASONPERRIER. Behind the Video is a production of 8th Digital Incorporated and the Independent Media Network, LLC. All rights reserved.